Shardul Joshi, who is a mechanical engineer and an aspiring Master of Acoustical Engineering, whose forte lies in musicianship and claiming a stage when he's up there with his piano. He is an affinitive of music and has tuned himself in the skill of playing the keyboard for over 13 years. His motto is to grow and learn every day and believes the best way to effect positive change is to take the stage and express your constructive opinion no matter what of the challenge lies ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good afternoon to one and all present here. My name, as she mentioned, is Shardul Joshi. If you don't mind, can I present a PPT here? Yeah, thank you.
Yes, you can.
Yes, just a second. Okay. Yes. Is it visible? I think it's coming up. Okay. Is the PPT visible, guys?
Yeah.
Yes, Shardul, it is.
Yes. Lovely. Good afternoon. My name, as I mentioned, is Shardul Joshi. I am a mechanical engineer and aspiring to be an acoustical engineer. Well, I've had a lot of different ups and downs in my life regarding my preferences of education and the directions I wanted to choose because simply I have had my fingers in too many pies. So finalizing as to which I want to be my career has been a very difficult challenge throughout my life. Yet there is one thing that I knew from the very beginning is that I love to take the stage. I love to be up there. I am a people's person, and people have tended to like to listen to what I have to say. So here I am, invited by Sandhya Auntie, and I hope you all enjoy what I have to say. Yes. Leadership. Let's talk about leadership. What is leadership? A great leader does not lead the way. A great leader shows how it is done. A great leader shows what the way is. And my story of leadership, my examples of leadership began all the way at an early age back in Singhania school. I'm a part of Srimati Sulochana Devi Singhania, and this is one of the best atmospheres I've had for a personal development to become the orator or the speaker that I am today. I, uh, I can begin with my very first experience that I felt. I will fast track it right down to the ninth grade, where I was to be an editor in chief for my house, wherein there were elections to be held for that post. And I went ahead to get accredited as the editor for my house, which is called Himachal. One fine day, my housemaster comes and just mentions that the post has been given to someone else. The editorial post has been whisked away from me and has been given to someone else, and that was quite a shaky start to my position of having a title behind my name. It was at that moment that I felt a little bit of a reduction in my confidence. But moments later were there elections for for the prefect position in my school. It was at that moment that I just took the stage for the very first time and put myself out there in front of a crowd of hundreds, of purely hundreds. That was one of the biggest stages I could have ever been in front of. My legs were shaking, my hands were shivering, but I was right there in front of them just to present my idea with the microphone in my hand. And I knew from that point onward that if I don't do that right there, standing right there, it would be incomplete. The experience would be incomplete, and that feeling inside me that I need to overcome would stay permanent. I just went up on stage and I put myself out there. I presented myself, I presented my credentials, and I made a couple of really bold statements out there on stage. with a couple of words that really created an impact in the minds of people in front of me. That wasn't just me presenting myself or advertising myself. That was those words were totally um, emotions I felt that I would portray if I were present and if I would be prefect of the people I was in front of. And evidently this sat really well with my people, and they went ahead with a good number of votes, and I won with a landslide victory there. And that is what unleashed my confidence to really present myself out there, to really put myself out there in front of people and hold that leadership position from that point onward. I hadn't campaigned. I had not gone class to class begging for votes. No, no, I had not done that. All I had done was connect with every individual out there in ways that they would want me to, in ways that they needed the kind of guiding light that would be necessary for everyone to come together as a community, as Himachal House. And I guess that is what initiated my direction towards leadership. The second that happened, I had a clear idea that about what leadership is, what leadership actually requires, and luckily I got that clarity at a rather young age, I would believe. From that point onward, I used my vocabulary, my oration skills, and as well as obviously one of the biggest assets I have, that is my music, to go connect with anyone and everyone I wish I could, and I thought I would be able to. And the story continued from there. 11th grade. Let's fast track down to 11th grade now. uh, I was approached through one of my parents' colleagues who was working at Tata Consultancy Engineering. It's at Vikhroli. Um, they approached me for a corporate gig. A gig is a performance. It's a cultural performance of sorts. They approached me for a cultural gig. Now, I, being an individual who has barely gotten out of school, who is barely starting understanding how to roam around the city, and who has barely put himself out there, as I mentioned before, this was a big opportunity for me, and such a stage all the way in Chembur would have helped me grow, and I just did not wish to leave that opportunity away. I proceeded. I proceeded to confirm my presence for that, and it turned out to be more than just a participation. It turned out to be one of the most important experiences of my life as a leader. I was not a designated leader as I was in the previous example. I was just a part of a symphony, of an orchestra that was really wavered. Each individual musician in that group was having his own direction, having his own a line of thought regarding what music should be, and we were to create a symphony of all the instruments coming together, creating the kind of music we would like to. Um, that is when I realized that such an approach towards this band would make no sense. Such an approach would really create a delta, would create a void in the audience that would be viewing us that nobody would appreciate. It instantly instilled inside me the want to suggest the other musicians around me to take up the music in a particular way, to take up the music in particular directions. Gradually, as I started suggesting, it became a mode of instruction. It became more of suggestions. It became a leadership. It became me directing that musical symphony. So at a really early stage in life, I was able to create my own orchestra in front of me, literally suggesting every instrumentalist to play a particular way. And these people weren't just similar to in age group as I was. As you can see in the image right next to in the right top corner, everyone was they were proper professionals, working class people who I was having an opportunity to direct and lead, and that gave me a huge high. It gave me a huge confidence to carry out my music from that point onward, because it gave me a confidence in my music as well. um, that that also gave me a certain kind of recognition after the performance. Of course, I was approached by people from the industry of music itself. I was approached by people from the corporate gigs sector as well, and it totally skyrocketed in a different direction from that point onward. So the whole factor that I was able to conduct that stage gave me a boost in my leadership skills, obviously. But on top of that, it gave me a boost in confidence that I can do this. I do have the capacity to proceed from this point onward. um, that was in the 11th and 12th grade. I was giving my Trinity examinations simultaneously, so I was getting technically skilled as well alongside. But I started feeling that the stage that I was getting to portray myself was shriveling. It was getting construed in ways that I would have preferred would be more vocal, but that wasn't happening only until I got to my college. All of us know college is a very beautiful stage. College is a very beautiful ambience for us to express ourselves in the way we've developed before, and our new experiences can be portrayed and put out over there. That is where KLSGIT, my college back in Belgaum, comes into picture. I reach GIT, and I have become a part of a swarm of people who do not belong to my community, or vice versa. I do not belong to theirs. So I was already feeling a kind of repulsive atmosphere around me, owing to the fact that I have come from a different community or cultural orientation. Yet, music and culturals sees no bounds. I went for my first very audition. I was absorbed into the team very quickly. And that was not just because of how I play my board or how I play my music. It was because of how I conducted the stage, even when I was there just for an audition. The kind of people that I was competing against were highly skilled. They were highly trained in their methods of music. Yet I was able to enter that, and the communication skill I had with the first three people I spoke, the team knew they wanted me. That was the kind of leadership I look at, for the simple reason that communication is more important than the talent nowadays. Communicating your talent is uh, it possesses a certain gravitas to it, which the talent itself individually or solely cannot put out. Hence, gradually, as we grew, as the band developed, I got more important roles wherein I was given the designation of organizers. I was given the designation of a coordinator for events. um, Aura is one of our biggest fests, and I was given one of the biggest stages to be handled, the stage for Arman Malik. This along with my team was a huge factor for me, because there were organizers under me, there were volunteers under me whom I dedicatedly had to instruct on a daily basis. But it wasn't about just being instructive, was it? It had to be reciprocative. I had to get their inputs about it too. And that is my nature. That is my root from the very beginning. I cannot just put out there what I feel. I need to get from them what they think would be the best atmosphere to be created out there. And that kind of gave me an advantage, in the sense that I was looked at as the sensible person to be in a leadership position at that point of time. It went on from taking the lead in the band itself. It went on to actually giving the band a more personal touch and feel by giving it a name, and not just calling it the KLSGID music team. No, I called it Mysteria. And I gave a certain amount of spice to that team. And that is where the whole personal element and the leadership element came into the band. And from that point onward, there was no turning back. Music coordinatorship, music organizing. That became my life in college, over and above the little bit of engineering that I did. But yes, That is where I was able to create an ambience of not just seriousness, but a little more casualness, a little more conversationalism, a little more socialization among my people. I guess I look at it as also, and I look at that also as a kind of leadership, for the simple reason that the band was never the same anymore. The band just grew to become a more than just friends. It became family. More than just teammates, we became family. And if that isn't an example of personalization, of becoming of making it a more personal group, I don't know what else is. That was my initial example of leadership as well. It goes on, it just goes on. Aura itself was conducted for 3 years, and we were technically and culturally highly oriented and integrated into that. Over and above that, I got an opportunity with a group called IEEE. So this is the Institution of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. Me being a mechanical engineer had very little role over there, but it turns out it was a little better than I expected, because it was in the third year that I really started developing really close relationships with professors on a technical orientation as well. And they started seeing in me the team leader capacity that I had to lead a team as soon as I got in touch with IEEE. So for the very first event I was a part of with IEEE, I was given the team leader role, and it 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 was so special for me for the simple reason that I had 5 people practically under me, totally dependent on my guidance and suggestion to actually achieve what that event was meant to. And it was so much bigger than just that initial team leader role, because it was at that moment I realized that it is a reciprocating thing. It is a give and take. I can express my ideas and opinions, but it has to sit right with them. Only then will that structure, will that system of a team leader and a team work. That is what leadership, I feel, is all about. It is unity in diversity, yet diversity in creation of this unity. Um, the every individual within that team has their own niche fortes, and they have their own capacities to bring forward into the team. But so many times and so often do we see that they are constricted with certain roles that are just pushed upon them, that are thrusted upon them. They are not asked what their fortes are, they're not asked who they are. That is where in this situation did I realize that even if you are designated as the official leader of a particular scenario, you are in the whole setup is incomplete if you do not reciprocate, if you do not ask, if you do not get the input from them as to what they are good at. That was the very first time I started realizing that um, the element that every individual has their own fortes is very important to be tapped as a leader. It goes on to my final year, where one of the most difficult phases in our engineering lives is it is the project. It is the final year project where we are supposed to put ourselves out there in the industry, an industry that we have no clue of, because thanks to our educational system, that we are just confined to our classrooms and our daily grinds of professors coming in and going out, and that we have no relevance to the industry. But these last 6 months of 2021 were totally industry oriented, where we had to put ourselves out there and start grabbing attention of these employers and of internship providers, and obviously making our projects happen. So it was then that I was stuck with a group of students of different cultural orientations. We had a huge language barrier between us. Yet there had to be someone to take the helm, and I liked doing that too. I was the point of contact between the person in the industry and my team. And obviously, the communication within the team had been a huge challenge from the very beginning because there's four people speaking four different languages. So, with that comes a set of understanding what emotional lows are, what emotional challenges a team member can face. While because we had to be presenting our content that we were progressing through, just like I'm doing right now. So not everyone is comfortable speaking in front of a camera. Not everyone is comfortable speaking at all in the language that we were expected to. That's English. So dealing with such situations, dealing with emotional traumas and difficulties, it gives a rise to a different side of leadership for me. It is more personal. It is more um, how do I say? It is more specific. It is more specific in the sense that confidence, if you are able to instill in the other person, it gives you a satisfaction more than the other person. That is what I experienced. And over and above that, obviously, because I had the connection going on, the communication going on with the person in the industry, it allowed me to understand how their side of leadership is for us. That was me on the receiving end as well as on the providing end. So that was one of the best moments or best experiences of leadership I have gone through. Um, it was it was really eye opening in the sense that that is what our line of action is from this point onward in the future. That is what teams are made of, and that is how we need to be if you want to be a team leader. So these have been some of the most specific experiences I've had, some of the most prominent experiences I've had throughout my life of leadership. They've given me such eye-opening experiences. I can just give you another example of that IEEE team. We did not win that competition. We did not come first. That was because we had a little bit of technical lacuna, maybe, but we sure did come second. We sure did come second because everyone in that team understood that they need to work their fortes out, and I was able to instill in them the fact that they need to look at each other that way. um, it is it was from that point onward that I knew that even if I reach a leadership position at any point of time in life, it needs to be a good amalgamation of providing my input to the world and at the same time stepping into their shoes. So one of the most important things, though, I still am going to tell you all is that leadership does come from within. I cannot tell you to be a leader. I cannot construct you into the leader you might be tomorrow. Um, I can also pair this up with an example. The I mentioned before that I had my fingers in a lot many different pies, right? That kind of gave me a lot of difficulty, especially in the last 6 months of my engineering, to decide what my next line of action is going to be. Do I want to be a musician? Do I want to be a technically oriented engineer and continue in that field? Do I want to just give everything up, take a break for 2 years, and then decide what I want to do? It was a challenging time for me, but that is when I realized that I need to have a passion and a confidence inside me to decide what my future holds for me. And if I don't have either of them or both of them, it is just a compromise that I will be living with myself with. And a compromised person can never make an effective leader. So hence, I realized that my passion for the technical side of my life that I learned during engineering and my love for music can provide me the perfect combination of acoustical engineering. And as soon as I had that clarity, that it just snapped inside me one fine morning that no, this is my passion, and I know I can confidently approach that. Ever since, I have confidently preached to others and spoken to others about becoming an acoustical engineer. I took the time to make myself a leader for myself from inside. And I think that is what we need to target very first thing before preaching others. So, as I see, as you read, being a leader for yourself before shining a light to others. This is what I have to say to y'all. All right. So, well, we're all humans. We're not computers. So, I have a few more lines I have penned down that I would like to just read out to you all. There are moments when you are assigned the designated leader, the boss of a group of people. Sometimes you might be among the herd, just trading and treading and just passing on and pleasing on an undirected path. But when you do belong to the latter, when you belong to this herd of people who have no direction, at least at that point of time, there should be a voice inside you. Just hear that voice. Hear the voice inside you that screams out with the want, with the spark to be a front runner, to be the north star, to be the guiding light for the ones that are adrift on that path. You have no idea the kind of ignition that you may incite inside the other person, who or just simply inside yourself, that the person that you look inside the mirror. You yourself might be destined for greatness, or you might destine another to be the formidable figure that they never saw themselves becoming, to achieve a noteworthiness they never thought of achieving themselves. On the other hand, yet, when you figured your way to the top of a ladder to become a chief, or the leader, there is no need to be an authoritarian person or a dominant person. No. Be the representative or the torch bearer for those following your footsteps. Do that by stepping into the shoes of the people who are looking up to you. You have obtained such heights and such a leadership position just because you wish to enforce or effect positive reinforcement among those looking up to you, to instill in them the self confidence to reach where you already have, and also to strive forward together to uncharted peaks that have never been treaded on before, for them and for you. You have an opinion. Do you have a consolidated opinion? Do you believe through the goodness inside you that this opinion can effect positive change? Then please just take the stage and just please speak up. Every human being might be biologically different, but today we live in a world that is coming together based on the way we think, based on a similar school of thought, and we're cumulatively inspired, and that is what we come together on the basis of. If you go on living your life in your comfort zone in a typical herd mentality, I believe you're just depriving the world of the greatness that you could have achieved, and obviously offered the world in return by achieving it in the first place. You, by achieving it just by listening to that one voice inside you, that one urge to lead. So I live by an idiom that goes like, I'm too busy working on my own grass to notice if the other side is greener. At the risk of sounding arrogant, I believe that if you keep watering and nurturing the pursuit that you have set off on with genuine intention, greatness will follow. Greatness will just follow. And there is always more to be learned and more to be experienced. But the huge well of experiences that you are today, maybe that's what the world needs tomorrow. Maybe that's what the world will live by tomorrow if you just come up and speak up. So just keep your strive towards your pursuit of excellence and be the leader the people would smile to and smile for when you touch them with that excellence. To all the aspiring leaders of tomorrow I see in front of me, um, all the very best. Thank you. Shardul Joshi signing off.